Hey everybody, it's Allie, and in today's video I'm going to take you along with me while I finish up my day in the life project. Again, we were using the lens of color for this time, which was a different way to approach this particular project, especially after I've done it so many times over the years. You can see what I have on my table right now are various photos that have been printed out. As I went through my photos for the day and as I kind of considered how I wanted to actually finish this project up and bring different things together, what I ended up doing was having two photos for each color, a 4x6 photo and then a 3x4 photo. So I had enough, two of each color essentially, and then I did end up needing to go in and get take another picture for red, and I'll talk about that when that comes up. Quick tip here, if you have a Fiskars trimmer like this, or if you have this kind of trimmer, you can change out the mat, which is a wonderful way to make the cuts happen a little bit better. So right there, I am going ahead and going in and trimming out 3x4 photos. Some of these are going to get trimmed down a little bit more. Some of them will go into the pockets as 3x4s. You'll see as we go along here. I printed those on a 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, so I went ahead and cropped them in Photoshop to be able to print those 3x4 outs on one 8.5 by 11. At least I think I ended up doing 2 pages of them. But you can see here that I already have the 4x6 prints in there because I print those on a different printer, and I'm just going in now and identifying which photos I want to use as the 3x4 photos. So as you may have seen earlier when in the different content that we had set up for this particular project, one of the ideas that you could definitely do if you had a lot of pictures, if you took a lot of pictures over this particular day, that you could do some sort of photo collage in that 4x6 space or in the 3x4 space, or you could simply add in more page protectors if you had more photos you wanted to include. This project for me, I am keeping it super simple, which was what I intended to do from the beginning and how I designed it to be set up from design, right? From sitting here at my computer and setting up the design. I wanted it to be a simple invitation, and I wanted to simply focus on the colors. So I love having a project, a day in the life project like this that really is focused on the photos. I had so much fun taking the photos, cropping the photos, thinking about angles, thinking about the color, the saturation of the color, what colors did I see, what colors did I not see. It was just such a good creative adventure, which was really what I was hoping for it to be. And you'll see some of my colors like that. I focused on the orange in the middle of the daffodil. Obviously that daffodil is very yellow too. So, you know, this is a playful creative challenge, right? And that's what we get to bring with us as we go into it. So continuing to crop out those images and then adding them into the 3x4 pockets. All right, then I did print out a full page, 7 inches wide by 8.25 inches tall photo. Just one of the photos that I really liked from this particular day, which was a photo when Betty and I were walking and I saw this green, it's kind of like a moss, but they're star shaped, just super fun. So I ended up putting that down behind the first page in the album design formula there. And as I was thinking about what I might want to do on top of that one, you'll see that I'll be doing some stamping and punching some circles out in a minute here. I'm using rolling adhesive just to adhere that page to the background there, and then I use a metal ruler and an X-Acto knife to trim off any excess when there's extra, and there's almost always extra because I don't cut things exactly straight, and I'm totally fine with that. I've just gotten used to this as a part of the process, especially when you're working outside of the page protectors and just things are not always straight, which is totally fine. So we get to go in and make those straight for ourselves. All right, so I'm pulling out the kit there and the stamp set, and I'm also punching the 6 holes using my 6-hole punch. And here's where I was thinking about maybe I could stamp the pie chart to represent each of the colors. So I was thinking a little bit about that, but before I get into that phase, one of the things that I established that I wanted to do back in the beginning when I was setting up my album and my design structure was I wanted to add some some close-ups of some of the photos that I took, 3 of them to be exact, that could be on the back of the chipboard pieces that are on the front of the vellum at the start of the album. So I picked out just a couple different photos. These photos are repeated, like you saw. That one obviously is included in the album as a big photo. The photo of one of Betty's, our dog's dog toys there, the pink dog toy, you'll see a bigger version of that later on that's going to go into the album. And then at first I cut this one of the sky. Again, I'm just looking for like pieces of the whole, right? I like the little close-up shots. I end up changing this one out and switching it for an art journaling page and cutting a piece out of that. And I think you'll see that a little bit later in the process here. I love the idea too. If you like how that looks, you could completely do a whole page of small little snippets from your day. So maybe you took a lot of photos and you'd like to include more of them. You can use those chipboard tags as a really fun shape there to be able to do a repeated shape over and over again with those close-ups of your photos. That would look really cool too. From a design standpoint, repetition always good. So yeah, went ahead and replaced that one. I am going to go ahead and put small silver brads on the back of those or on the top of those. I'm going to use my We Are Memory Keepers hole punch to punch holes through the tags and then add on the little silver brads. The chipboard pieces on the other side I used gold, larger brads, and so this is just another way. These brads are not functional in that they're not being poked through to the other side. They're just for decoration. I like having that little bit of texture along the top there. So you can see grabbing some of the mini brads, little silver ones, and I'm going to put those through the holes there before adhering them down on the back. All right, after I got those guys added on there, this is where I went ahead. I did have one other photo that I needed to print, which is the red photo. And then I also measured these shapes here so that I could print out a few additional photos. These are 1.75 by 2.25 is what I ended up doing. And then you'll also see me use a corner rounder on those later on. That was the red image that I ended up adding in from an art journaling page that I was working on previously. And now I'm going in and trimming the photos for the last page in this particular documenting day. I am just adding in a couple other ones that I had in my photo archive from the day. All right, once I got those all on there, you saw that I used my corner rounder to follow the corner edges on the little spots there that were set up to hold photos or journaling. Next, what I'm doing is I'm creating this little collage of pie charts. So I'm using StazOn to stamp the pie charts, and what I wanted was one for each of the different colors that I am or that I focused on for my day in the life. And so what I decided to do on here was just do one color on each one. So it's kind of representative of each of the colors. So I used different inks from our collection. I used the Redwoods. I used Tillamook for the orange. I used Honeyman for the yellow. I used the Willamette for the green. I used Deschutes for the blue, which is our navy blue. I used a Rose Garden for the pink. And then obviously the black was stays on. And then for the white one, I just left it blank. But just making these little pie charts made me super happy. And at this point in the process, I wasn't sure if I had a 1 1/4 inch circle punch, which is probably the one that would work the best in terms of that would give you a little bit of white space around the outside edge. I didn't have one of those, but I did have a 1-inch circle punch, which is what I'm going to go in and use on these. And these circles are right exactly at 1 inch. So I was able to just go right around the black portion. And then what I decided to do, or where I wanted to add these was directly onto that full page photo. It's kind of like another little entry point into the storytelling for the day. And then I also made a little title. There you can see that's the 1.5 inch, which gives you a lot of white space around the outside. So obviously something that you could do. But I decided that the 1 inch was going to work just fine. Like I was saying, I did create a little graphic for you guys, and I will put this in as a download. It just says, I think it says it's the everyday colors. I just put it on black. I'll put both the international spelling and the American spelling, or English spelling, American spelling. I think it's American spelling. In the download too, and you'll be able to grab that within the blog post. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can click over to the blog post. There's a link for that down below in the details section of this post, and you can download that. Also, we did add a purple card to the blog post where I showed my setup for this. So if you're looking for the purple card, that's been added as a download to my setup blog post. That's where the freebie for the international spelling for all of the other little chipboard pieces and stuff is located as well. So I'm just arranging them on there in a grid, and then here is the one that I printed out. Again, it's sized just so that you can punch it with the 1 inch, and then I'm going to lay it right in the inside, and then I'm going to use foam adhesive to adhere all of those down. I just love how that turned out. Like, I really like the little graphic look of that on top of the colorful photo. All right, so after I got those pieces all in, so I have all my photos in, I have the trimmed out little tags there, I have the 3x4 and the 4x6 photos. Then I moved on to actually doing my journaling. And I decided for this particular project to handwrite my journaling. I'm using 2 different pens. I'm using a brush pen that's from Pentel, and I'll link that for you guys below, paired with a Micron .03 pen. So I love having the combination of the thick and thin there in my journaling. In terms of what I am writing down on here, I am identifying and pulling from notes that I took on the actual day. So I used my notes app, just like I said I was going to, and just jotted down things over the course of the day. So you can see there, it starts with wonderfully slow morning, just how I like it, just how I like a Saturday to begin. Day starts with feeding Betty and taking my thyroid medication and black coffee. So I'm picking out some observations over the course of the day that include the things that are colorful, right? Talking about sitting outside and seeing all the yellow daffodils. I went to the bottom, you saw me add that in there, and that's where I added on some observations from later in the day, which we had driven to Portland, which is a couple hours away from here, to have dinner with Erin's sister and her husband for her birthday. And I'm talking about the pink coat that she was wearing, and I do include that in the pink section, so we'll talk about that in a minute too. But I'm just kind of doing just a general outline. This is one of those places, I think, where when we are focusing on a specific lens like color, you might think that everything you write has to be about color, and it can be if you want it to be, and that, is the entry point into the storytelling. But you can always take it a step further, right? That, what do those colors actually mean to you, or what did seeing those colors at this particular time or the season of your life, what does that mean to you, in terms of the right now documenting. So what I'm doing next is I'm going to pull out each individual card and add my journaling on there. And what I decided to do was just focus on the two photos that I added in. So the 3x4 photo and the 4x6 photo. I'm choosing not to add any embellishments on top. I'm just leaving it very photocentric, very focused on the photos. And I love it because I love the different angles that I played around with. I like the cropping. I like seeing the photos in this way. It's just a completely different way to document the story of my day, where in the past when I've done day in the life, I'm really focusing on kind of the motions of the day or those sorts of things. And this was a really fun way to mix that up. And this is still all a part of my everyday, right? Color is a part of the way that I live my life, and it exists all of the time. And I love that. Like, I love kind of honoring that is what I feel like I'm doing as I am telling these stories, right? Honoring the colors that are existing in my everyday life. So for each one, I put the color number 1 and the color number 2, and I use the brush pen for that. And then I'm just adding in details, right? So for yellow, I'm talking about the daffodils, how that's like the biggest pop of color in my yard right now. The other thing I took a picture of there is called Forsythia. That is also a yellow shrub that we have here in our yard, and so I'm talking a little bit about that. These are very specific time of year things, right? I don't have yellow around the house all the time. I had a significant lack of red as I went about my day, and comparing that to December, or comparing that even to February, there's still February with Valentine's Day and those sorts of things, I just feel like I have more red things around, or in the winter. But here, where in my own story, in the right now of my own life, we are moving into spring, and where I live in Oregon, there's lots of green, lots of things coming back to life. So lots of yellow, and I love yellow. So definitely feeling that, and you can see that even in the art journaling thing that I took a picture of, right? That the yellow really coming through in that. For the pink, I've got a picture of my sister-in-law's coat there, which she just had just a fabulous, bright, colorful outfit on. And then the second pink photo I included is one of a camellia that had fallen off of its bush, and I took that one when Betty and I were on our walk. I've been having a lot of fun recently just taking pictures of stuff like that as I go on my walk, and as we go on our walks together, just noticing, right? That's a lot of what a color treasure hunt is too, is it's noticing the different things that are existing in our world, and having no problem taking photos of things that we find beautiful. And it might not be taking pictures of flowers and natural world things, like that might not be what you care about most. Maybe you care about something else in the season of your life, right? Maybe it's books, or maybe it's painting, or maybe it's doing something else. It's okay if your photos are all representative of some specific thing that's not shown here in my own particular project, right? We are each coming to this with our own stories and our own things that are happening in our life. So for me, for green, includes, again, plants and flowers. So I've got nasturtiums that I had just bought the other day. I'm getting those planted. And then one of the pictures I took was just some green. This was also on the walk. It's like ground cover, some sort of green ground cover. And I talked about filling the frame. So when I shared that on Instagram, that was one of the, I think, things that I think is really fun when you're looking for colors. How can you fill the frame with the specific colors that you are looking for? Orange for me was a soup that we got on the road. We drove our camper van up to visit Aaron's sister and brother-in-law. And so we went to our local grocery store and grabbed lunch on the way, and I had a carrot, ginger, and squash soup, which was nice and orange. And then for the daffodils, I have a wide variety of different kinds of varieties of daffodils here, and this is one that has a super orange center. I have other ones that have yellow centers and other ones that have white centers, and just again, noticing that that is a piece of what is a part of my life right now. Moving on to white. For white, I did a photograph actually of a receipt for some David Austin roses that came in the mail recently that I need to get into the ground. So that was what I picked for white. My second photo there is a photo of Betty laying on the ground in the bathroom. We've got the white floor with the white towels and the white bath mat there, and talking a little bit just about how Betty follows me around everywhere I go, and then she just blends in to the surrounding, and how much I love having just all white towels. That's what we have here, so that just makes it simple and easy. And then for black, the two pictures that I'm including here, one is black coffee, so that is a piece of my own personal story. I'm a black coffee drinker. I don't add anything else into it. It's been like that for me since the beginning of my coffee drinking days, which were probably in college. So that is a fun just little reference to add in there. And then I was also, when Betty and I went on our walk, I had my black boots and black pants on. And so looking down at the ground and taking a photo of that to showcase the color black. And I had a black coat on. You know, lots of different ways that I could have taken that picture too, right? I could have taken a full body shot of myself, but in this case, just looking down, that worked just fine. And I actually like how it repeats the looking down at the coffee cup. Last step in the process here of putting this particular project together is adding on journaling to the Everyday Colors, the Found Delights page on the back. And then what I decided to do for this one is I just started adding in journaling. So I put in like from top left, so talking a little bit about art journaling and how much I've been loving the really bright, vivid, bold colors in that. The little star greenery, again, that was delightful to me. Looking in the sink and seeing black scissors and my black pour over coffee mug. It's just the found objects, right? And then being able to crop them, that was making me happy. We had some really good drinks when we went out on Saturday night, so we have a picture of us celebrating there, so adding that in, and then the picture of Betty's toy, the pig toy that she loves, and just adding some little details, right? These are everyday life kinds of things in this season that I wanted to document. So thanks so much, you guys, for coming along with me on this documented adventure. We're going to be back with some more story play sessions later this year, and we'll give you guys more details on the blog about that. We'll see you back here again soon.